Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk generically about elections, and it can be election anywhere. It could be a local council election, a federal election, presidential election, state election, regional election. It doesn't matter. We're talking an election here where, certainly in my perspective or from my point of view, making sure the election is completely clean and is unsullied by or brought into doubt or question by any creative activities, whether it be in counting or anything else. Any procedure that is designed to not reflect the absolute will of the voters is in my mind a corruption of the process. Now, elections are something that people with power don't like because it creates uncertainty, and they don't like that sort of uncertainty, and they don't believe they should have to share power. And voting is an expression of power. They don't believe they should have to share power with those the hoi polloi and the great unwashed and so on. Now, some people, who are at the apex say, well, why should we have to accept the will of the people when there's a lot of the people who don't even know the candidate standing, they don't understand the political issues, they don't understand the big questions of the day. They're going to vote for very personal reasons that may have nothing to do with the bigger picture of things. So why should we accept their vote? Why don't we just have voting for people that agree with us, and we'll accept that? So that there are various, realpolitik type questions. But one of the reasons why we have elections, free and fair elections, is because it's a way of transferring power between political parties or different candidates, say in a US presidential election, for example. It's a way of transferring power without there being dispute or agreement. Everyone accepts the completely independent view, the completely independent, unsullied, uncorrupted, unfiltered view of the people. And now you may not like that, and you may not agree with it, or you may think, well, I wanted this candidate to win and not that one, or all that may still be there. But given that it's free and fair and unsullied in any way, then you accept that view, and that's a way of transferring power. That, again, even though you may not like it, you accept that's the independently expressed, unfiltered will of the people. And as a way of transferring power, I can't think of another one that is able to two things: would be again an expression of the will of the people. But also where there's an opportunity for the various candidates for political office to put forward their policies as to what they want to do to serve the people, to improve the quality of the roads or improve the quality of health services, or whatever it might be, but to put forward their policies, and then the people can make a choice. Now, the days of policy electioneering, of course, are gone. It's more a negative on the backhand type approach today, where we may be useless, but all those other guys are Nazis. They're fucking Nazis, and so you better vote for us because then you stop the Nazis. And that's much more, certainly in the globalist controlled areas of the Western world, which is pretty much all the Western world these days. That's very much the thing. We'll look out for black, lesbian, transgenders. So we're obviously the better party. What are you going to do about the terrible state of the roads and the bridges? Hey, who gives a fuck? We're going to look after black lesbians. That's all that matters. So a different type of political campaigning now. And I think once the politics of class were taken out of the where there tend to be one side of politics that would be more socialist, the other side more free market. That once that divide was around class lines, once that divide was gone, then it tended to be a different sort of electioneering, appealing to things like victimhood and social victimhood and so on. Coming back to the election side of it, so I think it's absolutely vital that everybody concerned with the election process at any level is fully and absolutely committed to free and fair, clean, unfiltered, unsullied, uncorrupted election outcomes and counting, and that the procedures and the laws and the statutes surrounding the handling of elections, counting of ballots and signature matching, whatever it might be, that they're followed scrupulously, and there are many observers that sign off on that scrupulous observance of the proper legal procedures. Now, there seems to have been a bit of a breakdown, I would think, over the last 5 years or so, where that isn't the issue anymore. That the issue that the power elites have is they don't seem to care, as far as I can tell, at least. They don't, in my opinion, they don't seem to care about whether it's free, fair, unsullied, and uncorrupted. If anyone disagrees, you shut them down. They're not allowed to have an opinion, or they're written off as conspiracy theorists and so on. So rather than deal with the issues and make sure that people see the election as free and fair and above board, rather than put all your effort into that, they just put effort into shutting everyone down, which seems to me to give away the game. Well, why shut everyone's opinion down? Why not clearly show that it is above it? Why not place all your effort and your energy into instilling confidence in this, confidence in the outcome? Put your effort into that rather than just shutting everyone down. We don't have a problem here if we can just stop people fucking talking about it. Shut everybody down. Get them off social media. Call them names. Call them Nazis. Do anything you like, but don't try and increase or raise the level of confidence. Now, to me, raising a level of confidence is being the good citizen. I think that's of vital importance. Which brings me to the legal chicanery in and around the Arizona state election recently, where there was Ms. Hobbs and Ms. Lake were the candidates for the prime candidates for the governorship of the state of Arizona, and there's an unusual situation where one candidate did almost no campaigning at all. It was very quiet, almost hid, and the other candidate did a lot of campaigning and pulled big crowds and seemed to be doing very well. But somehow the candidate that did no campaigning and was refused to engage in debates and all this sort of stuff, she came away with what was alleged to be the most votes, and that just on the face of it seemed surprising. But there were some other issues, and I've sort of was having a look at these, and they've been working their way through the courts. But I'll make mention of this. Before I come to some facts, though, every quite reasonable issue that the Ms. Lake and her legal team, Carrie Lake and her legal team, have taken to the courts, there seems to be, in my view, there seems to be a very consistent attempt to stymie, frustrate, undermine, and prevent a proper legal challenge. The decisions that, in my opinion, the judges have made represent people who have no interest whatsoever in determining the sanctity of the election outcome or the procedures that led to that outcome. No interest in it at all, but a lot of interest in preventing these questions being asked and preventing a higher level of audit-type scrutiny of the processes and the outcome. Now, if I was a judge and concerned about election integrity, we'll call it in a generic sense, I would want this to be done. We need, in the interest of election integrity and the confidence that people have in the election system, I want higher levels of scrutiny. I want the highest levels of scrutiny, auditing and accountability, because I want the people to have absolute confidence. I want them to see that the procedures were followed and that the integrity of the election is beyond dispute. That I want the people to have that view, so I want a higher level of audit. That would be certainly, if I was a judge or an election official or anybody involved in it, I would want that level accountability and thus public confidence in the process. But this is, we're getting the complete opposite, not only from the election officials, but also from the, in my opinion, also from the judiciary. They seem to be doing everything they can to hamper and frustrate Ms. Lake's legal team from engaging in that higher level of or that levels of audit and scrutiny. Why are they doing that? Why would you do that? Are you hiding something? Was there some impropriety that you want to be kept hidden? It seems absolutely counterproductive to me to engage in and they'll turn themselves inside out trying to frustrate Ms. Lake's attempt to audit the outcome. Why? Why would you do that? Again, I would want it and I would welcome it. Now, there's a few things that would be red flags in anyone's language. You don't have to be pro this side or pro that side. All you have to be is pro election confidence. You know, that's all you have to do. But there seems to be a shortage of people. Now, why would the people who are charged, their job, their oath is to ensure election integrity, and yet they're the ones who are frustrating any attempts at auditing it? I mean, for goodness sakes, isn't that a red flag in itself? So there's a couple of things that to be looked at here, among many others, by the way. I could go on, but there were approximately 35,000 ballots that were found to be the difference between, this is in one particular election counting centre, which are the difference between the ballots delivered. So you've got this, you know, everyone signed off. There were a number of ballots, over 200,000 ballots delivered, but there was a difference between the number of ballots counted and the number of ballots delivered. Now, if you've only got 100 ballots delivered, but you're counting 125 ballots, then you say, well, hold on a minute, where did these other 25, you've only had 100 ballots to count. There was only 100 there that you could have counted, but you're saying the total count was 125. Where did the difference, where did those 25 other ballots come from? So quite reasonably, the Ms. Lake's legal team were trying to establish where did they get, through the proper channels, you're asking the election commission and the electoral officials, asking them the question, can you show us, can we see? And the election officials, as I understand it, in my opinion, stonewalled Ms. Lake's team completely. No, fuck you, you're not having a thing, we're not telling you nothing. So they go to court. The first judge says, no, don't care, get out of my face. So they had to go to a higher court to get this matter addressed. Now, this is a red flag in anybody's language. How can you have more ballots counted than were delivered? It's mathematically impossible. So clearly, now what appears is that those ballots were nearly all in favour of the Democrat candidate, which again is mathematically very, very unlikely, to the point of impossibility, near impossibility. So again, a huge red flag here, and something that if you're an election official, no, we need to get to the bottom of this. But the very officials that are responsible for the integrity of the election are the ones who are playing the main game of obstructing the audit of this difference and discovery about why there was a difference and to what extent those ballots contributed to the final outcome. Now, there's another issue here. Over 500,000 postal votes were in that state's election in Arizona, which was a very high proportion of votes at a time when COVID wasn't really an issue. So that seems a bit strange. Anyway, let's now. It seems, or it's certainly alleged, and it seems to be an accurate allegation, that either there was no signature matching at all on those postal ballots, or that where there was some signature matching at some of the counting centres, that the signature matching was not done according to state stipulated, legally stipulated electoral procedure. So whether there was no signature matching or where there was, the procedure wasn't followed. So quite reasonably, the Ms. Lake's legal team is saying, well, if there was over 500,000 ballots that were not signature matched or were signature matched not according to policy, that puts those votes into question. Given those votes were heavily in favour of the Democrat candidate, or allegedly were, then should we not scrutinise those? Now, there's a very substantial likelihood that if a very detailed level of scrutiny and auditing is conducted on the ballots, the procedures, the signature matching, it is very, very likely that in my opinion, that the election outcome would swing heavily in the other direction, possibly for well over 100,000 votes difference. Now, I don't know that to be the case, by the way, but I would speculate along those lines. But again, I say, well, if there is nothing to worry about here, why is so much effort being put in by Democrat-appointed judges, Democrat-appointed election officials, and other hangers-on and flunkies and goons? Why are they putting so much effort into preventing this level of audit? Where if you want to increase the level of confidence that the public has in elections, have the audit. Let's do an audit scrupulously audit all that's gone on. But I suspect, in my opinion, this would change the outcome of the election. Therefore, they have to stonewall on it, and their election integrity is only useful if they get the outcome they want. Otherwise, election integrity, who gives a fuck? You've been with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.